the signing of the oil agreement, the NRM has regained the strategic initiative. I now feel more or less like in December 1985, when we finally had the manpower and the weapons to capture Kampala.
A very important tone setter for the debates that we are going to have about the important issue of oil. And I congratulate the Refugee Law Project for once again breaking new ground. Through this documentary, important questions have been raised. To get high quality answers, you also need high quality questions. I also believe that excuse me, in this room, we have managed to gather key stakeholders. We have a lot of young people. Actually, the majority of the people here are very young, in 20s and 30s. I therefore consider that all of us who are gathered here have been warned, so we have no excuse not to act. This is an important early warning video. The most important issue in my view is the issue of trust. The whole video is a litany of suspicion and mistrust. And the mistrust revolves around the role of the foreign companies that have the financial muscle to bring that oil from under the ground up. The oil sector is dominated by what is known as the Seven Sisters: Exxon, Mobil, Shell, the Seven Sisters. And even Saudi Arabia, with its capacity to negotiate, does not get more than 13% in royalty. The rest goes to those who say they have brought the capital. That is an issue. What role should foreign companies play? And should the exploration and exploitation of oil simply be a conspiracy between a corrupt, incompetent, and greedy government and an indifferent and amoral multinational outfit? What do citizens need to do to walk in there where the Seven Sisters, now with Sinuk also? What should citizens do to walk in there and say, government of Uganda, Talo, Sinuk, Total, the party is over. Either you listen to us out there or this banquet is closed. How can we make that conversation to be within the rules of democratic debate rather than the rules of terrorism, where pipelines are blown up, where the children of the bosses of these companies are kidnapped, expatriate workers are kidnapped and killed? So this issue can only be resolved if the government accommodates democratic debate. And the debate should be public, not through caucuses where people are closed down. Secondly, we have ownership. The Banyoro believe that this oil is theirs. That is what they believe. You know, the elephant also owns the elephant tusk, but it has to run for its life every time the poachers are around. because the elephant is only bearing the tusks. The question of ownership is being disputed by those who have guns. So we, from the oil-rich areas of Noya and Banyoro, we believe we own the oil, but those who have the billions of dollars, those who have the political power, and those who also have the capacity to inflict violence on us are disputing our right to ownership. The other issue is potential of conflict. People are feeling that something is not being disclosed. What causes conflict? Conflict will result if people feel that they are not getting a fair deal. During the presidential campaign, I moved to the oil-rich areas. I was also not allowed to even reach the gate of the oil fields. Members of parliament from those areas are not allowed to visit. It is being guarded by the Presidential Guard Brigade, and subcontractors are a company owned by the President's brother, Saracen. And the whole thing is being shrouded in secrecy. It is like, I would understand if we were developing a nuclear bomb. Perhaps that's what it may end up. How can we diffuse conflict? One, key leaders should be briefed openly. There's nothing wrong with President Museveni calling me as a high-level national official, a contender for the job he's occupying now, and he says, anything can happen. You may be president tomorrow. This is what you need to know. This is not happening in Uganda. In the developed democracies, even when Bush was sending troops to Iraq, he called the opposition and he says, this is what I'm doing. Whether you like it, whether you disagree with it, you now know. There will also be conflict over jobs. There's a suspicion that the ruling elite in Uganda are using their financial muscle to position their families and cronies to get the necessary qualifications such that they will then be the automatic beneficiaries of the juicy jobs that will be advertised. The poor Banyoro and the poor Acholis will naturally qualify only to slash the compounds, to cook, to split firewood, and to drive the vehicles, and to be porters. Because the jobs will be openly advertised, and they will say you need a master's degree in petrochemical engineering, which will sound like Greek to you, especially if you are recovering from conflict and you really are not qualified. And the president will say the jobs were advertised and qualified people were recruited. It's not my problem that they all come from my village. This is the way it worked out. That is what will foment the kind of conflict that we have to avoid. There will also be conflict with the environment. In my campaign in the areas of Pakwach, around the Albert Nile and Lake Albert, I was told that fishermen are beginning to lose out because the chemicals that are being exuded from the whole exploration process is forcing the animals to migrate. You may have realized that various elephants, many elephants, stormed the villages of Noya. They are not running from poachers, but some chemical is pushing them away. Now, it is the droppings of these animals, the dung, which is washed when it rains into the river, which provides the food for the fish. And now the food that the fish gets from the activities, natural activities of this animal, is no longer there. So the fish population is going down. So what is the government's plan to provide alternative economic opportunities for those who are going to lose out? I also found in Bulisa that the locals have not been allowed to cash in. I'm sure the people of Bulisa can breed chicken and provide eggs for the expatriates. I'm sure the people of Bulisa can do some of the carpentry work that is needed there. I'm told that the sandwiches that the expatriates eat come from Kampala. The eggs come from Kampala. The steak and other meats come from South Africa. Of course, through a well-placed intermediary in Kampala. The reason why these issues are important is that while we all agree that the oil can liberate us economically and give us the financial muscle to pay off the national debt, to invest in strategic sectors like energy and infrastructure, the way we handle it can also lead to resentment. And it is that local resentment which will undermine the kind of environment that we need to create in order for the oil to be a boom for all of us. So, when we say a blessing or a curse, those are code words. The question should be, will it be prosperity for the majority or for the few?